speaking as somebody with chronic PKD, which completely framed my life, it framed and informed everything I did. Try and imagine, if you can, how that feels to be somebody who was dependent for their quality of life, dependent for their life, dependent for their future, for their plans, for their daily living, on going to hospital every 4 or 5 or 6 weeks, if I was lucky, being hooked up, having 2 units of blood, with all the risks that are associated with regular transfusion. I had a splenectomy when I was 6, which was pretty traumatic, pretty difficult thing. My parents were told that was the only possible course of action for me because my health was so unstable. And then at 10, I got obstructive jaundice, and they found I had severe gallstones and obstructive jaundice. So I had a cholecystectomy at 10, which was also quite traumatic. I was very unwell, and my parents were told that really there was not much else. That was it. You know, basically, we're done. Don't plan a life for her. I went to school very briefly, but I wasn't well enough to go to normal mainstream school because I just had hemolysis after hemolysis after hemolysis, and every infection I got brought on a crisis. So being in the normal sort of mainstream education with lots of children, lots of infections, I got pneumonia, I got whooping cough, you know, the whole 9 yards. So life was very narrow. Because of my personality, I didn't find that easy. I was relentlessly bullied. Because of the colour of my skin, because they thought it was catching because it was jaundice, and they thought jaundice was catching. So all of that was wrapped up with having this condition that nobody had ever heard of. Nobody knew what it was. It wasn't visible. I didn't have crutches or, you know, apart from this peculiar colour, and being very fragile and quite frail. I felt as though I was totally overlooked. My GPs would say to me, "What's this thing you've got? Tell me about it." And that's very frightening because you feel on your own. Being tired is not the same thing as being deeply anemic. The thing about anemia of that sort, which doesn't get better, is that you have this breathlessness, which is a real issue for me. So you might do something and be very tired, but not recover from it. So I'd just be like that for days and days and days and days and never feel any different. And that's really, really hard. I refused to be defined by PKD. I absolutely refused it, to my detriment, because I obviously was quite often pretty unwell. I did work full time, but it came at enormous cost. It's only through my family, through the love of my family and through my husband, who I met when I was very young, that I was able to manage a full and active life. But the condition was always that box within which I had to live. I think that's a really important point about having a chronic condition like this, which is so overlooked, that nobody knows the impact of this very peculiar condition, which has this very real impact on individuals like me and my family. From a patient experience point of view, the more that is known about this extraordinary condition, the better.